What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of My Europe Fantasy. Today we are looking at 2022's Blast Premier Spring Finals. Um, these 8 teams are gonna take part in the first two groups. Top three advance to the playoffs, and then best seeds get straight to semis. This is pretty common in some events. I think especially like ESL events, right? Where the group winner gets straight to the semis or at least one round further. Usually it's, of course, in ESL it's bigger groups with and more groups, so it's a bigger event. But here we have these 8 teams. Again, well, as always, the best strategy is to pick the teams that win their groups, get to the opposite side semi straight away, then they get some point padding for the quarterfinals, and then hopefully also win their semifinals and get to the grand finals. In that sense, you should always pick the top 2 teams from each side of the bracket at least, and then the rest of the players from some other teams that made it to quarters and hopefully also to the semis. Group A is pretty easy to talk about. I'll just go over each team shortly. I think FaZe should always win this group. And they should always get this first semifinal spot. Just the strongest team in the world right now. The only team they lost to in the last event was Cloud9, who aren't playing in this event. And I don't think there's really any teams in this event that should beat FaZe. I feel like it's almost worth it to maybe sell some players at the start of the event and just have like 3 or even 4 FaZe players on your lineup. For ego, that could be something I try out this event, especially since the new bench mechanic, which I talked about a little last event. But basically, what it I think means is that you should just have one player as your permanently benched player, as long as the schedule works the way it does. I don't have high expectations for Pain, of course. I mean, just G2 and Vitality should be stronger teams, but I see a world where Pain maybe upset Vitality go 0-3, and then because of that, Pain just don't or they get the last slot to the playoffs instead of Vitality. I don't think G2 is gonna lose to Pain, but I think there's there's really a chance that Vitality do that poorly. Either way, I would say the second strongest team in this group is G2, who should beat Pain every time, should lose to FaZe, but I mean, they played like almost 2 weeks ago, I think, G2 and Vitality, G2 2-0 the series, and looked pretty comfortable, I think. Both teams have their problems right now, but I would say Vitality's problems have seemed a lot larger. They haven't made the playoffs in the last few events. G2 at least managed playoffs at the last event. So yeah, I would say that G2 definitely is the stronger of the 2 teams. So if I'm going for any players outside of FaZe in this group, probably gonna be G2. Then Group B is way more interesting actually. Like, I think there's cases to be made for all of these teams. Group B, Navi, number 2 team in the world, actually number 3 team in the world right now. And they have to play with Samdayang over Boomage. Samdayang is actually like a decent player, but the problem is IGL duties, of course. And also maybe just the fact that there is such turbulence in the lineup could impact them quite a lot. So I don't really know what to make of Navi. Like, I don't feel very comfortable picking them or players from them, but I still am. I would expect that they probably make it through, but there's also the outside chance of them not making it through. But I would say they probably make it over a team like OG. OG, who just played at Get Dubai. I picked them for my HLTV fantasy, and I was looking really good before yesterday's match where they just lost to NIP. So basically that fantasy's done and dusted with that. I was looking very good actually, like possibilities for like a top percentage placement, and now it's probably gonna be a very mediocre tournament for me. But I wanted to take the risk with OG because I felt like NIP might struggle against them, but didn't end up going that way. I don't expect OG will do too well in this group. Just the problem of too many good teams like Navi, ENCE, and Big. I think would all definitely like place above OG right now, especially with OG just bringing in some new blood. I would expect OG to not do that well in this event. Then ENCE, probably the favorite to win this group. I would definitely say that ENCE should win this group. I would say it's between ENCE and Navi, but I think ENCE, just with the fact that they have Spinks back, should be able to take this entire group down. Just such a solid team for the last several months now, and very excited to see how far they can bring it. I would expect them to win this group and make it to the semis straight away. And then Big, who are playing in like the top 3, I guess you could say, of Pinnacle right now. Looking pretty solid, but not like unbeatable or anything. I think they probably clinch this last slot to make it out to playoffs, but I don't have the... I think they're a very capable team, and some events they just kind of pop off. They could beat Navi, for example, this event. I don't think that's at all stupid to think. And then Big, I mean, they could beat all of the teams in this group, of course, but I would expect ENCE to take them down. So that's my thoughts about these teams. Let's get to picking some players. I haven't really looked too much at these player prices. Robs and Brokey stand out to me as very inexpensive options. Twists as well. So like you could go basically Robs, Brokey, and Twists if you want to go. Oh, that's the wrong player. Robs, Brokey, and Twists. Very like possible strategy that you could take in my eyes. Just the highest rated FaZe players. Last player as the cheapest player, Alexi B. And then 2 of the ENCE players that we want. So that could be like the highest there. Can we get Spinks? I mean, he's expensive, right? But 148, 145 for Snappy. I mean, you could do this. Uses one of our cells on one of the FaZe guys, but I think that's a fair trade to make. I don't see a world where FaZe don't at least make it to the playoffs, and I think they should win the entire thing. Double ends makes sense. I'm just gonna look at some options. I don't think like Rain makes too much sense for this price. You could pick Carrigan, of course, but I think that's giving too much money for these things. Like just to explain why I want to have this permanent bench player. I explained this kind of for the last video, but if because of the way the lock system works, you can't make substitutions between any of these games. So someone is gonna be on the bench on this round. Same here, where you can't make substitutions between these games. So each of these matches is gonna be what do you say? Like each of these matches is gonna have a bench player. Like you're always gonna have a bench player for this day, also for this day, also for this day, also for this day. So just pick a cheap player for this, and then have him on there all tournament long. And there's no real reason to make switches if you have one bench player. The only reason to make switches is if you think you have like 2 players, of which one is gonna do well on this day and one is gonna do well on this day. But it's I think it's not worth it for just money wise. I think it's just better to have the player play a bit worse on one day maybe. Yeah, I was looking at, can we do like Haiti? How much expensive is Diha? This doesn't use our money quite as well. Like Hades, Mod, and Diha. Can't get Spinks, of course, for this. If you go Carrigan, you can get Probably Spinks and Diha, I would assume. Spinks, yeah, you can for sure. Even get left with some cash. I don't like that too much. Also, I think Rops rather than Twist. I mean, Twists rather than Rops, probably. How expensive was Rain? Rain was 173 as well. Yeah, it's pretty tough to make this work with Spinks. If you want to go triple phase, I mean. I do want to go triple phase, I think. I mean, I think Rops is still better than the other two. Yeah, we had Diha and no, wait, we had Spinks and Snoppy, right? I think that's actually very, very okay. Spinks and Snoppy. Because I just think FaZe is just gonna kind of destroy this first group. I do think so. I mean, they have initial matchup. Wait, initial matchup probably against Pain, right? Yeah. So they get to kind of farm in this first matchup, and then they get to play against winner of G2 Vitality, which could be a close game, but I think still FaZe should always come out on top against either of these teams. Probably G2. Yeah, I think I'm going with this. Honestly, I don't really see a reason to not go for this. I want to see Spinks perform though. That would be cool. After his like lackluster last event, I don't think. Okay, it might not be working right now. The beta version of website. I'll just make this lineup on my phone just to have it. But there's not really anything else to talk about here, I don't think, except maybe captaincy. Twist. Oh, it might actually be that I have to do the selling thing, but I want to just insta sell for one of these players. So like, do this with Rops. Buy I don't know, Faven for example. Doesn't really matter, right? Let's buy Electronic. Okay, now it works, but now we can just instantly sell Electronic. Okay, I can't sell him yet, but I'll just sell him on my phone. I think it's just that the website is still a little buggy, so just doesn't let me sell Electronic yet. Either way, I'll just make it on my phone because, well, there's no real option, I guess. But captaincy, probably Brokey captain for this first. You could go Twists. I think it could be any of the FaZe players that you captain. I think he's gonna be captain for probably most of the event, whoever I captain in this first round. But yeah, if you enjoy this kind of content, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I post videos about Ego App and HLTV fantasies whenever there's an event, and I'll post another video about my HLTV lineup for this event in I don't know how long, but today later I think. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.